I really enjoyed the film. I didn't get a nice sleep last night, thank you, but it was a nice film.
I can hardly watch the first Guardians because I was very new to acting, and I know the days where I started and where I was just terrified. I was so nervous, and it's hard. I cringe when I watch it.
Vegas was walled off with the zombies left inside to haunt the abandoned city.
Mr. Ward, how would you like to make $50 million on a warm summer's eve?
A Snyder film is never just a superhero film or just a zombie film. It's never like that, because you have a magical touch, I have to say. But I'm curious on whether there are like certain conventions, like unspoken conventions on zombie films that you cannot break and that need to be at a certain way.
Well, yeah, no, I like observed, the canon of zombies. I'm familiar with how, even when I made Dawn of the Dead, we did one little wrinkle by making the zombies be able to kind of be fast. And I felt like in this case, even just, I wanted to homage the classic Shamblers and have classic Shamblers, but then I really wanted to kind of evolve it and kind of take it to another level.
You ready to play?
I really enjoyed the film. I didn't get a nice sleep last night, thank you, but it was a nice film. And the more I see these films, the more I realize that the survivors are the ones who have mental strength. So I wanted to ask you, what mental virtues do you consider it to be the ones that make a difference between the strong ones and the weak ones?
I think the biggest thing that I found, and that I would think, you would need to survive a zombie apocalypse and just kind of survive in life. The biggest thing is to not panic. And I actually have that quality. I don't really panic much, with some people. I don't take, they don't take the right way, because sometimes I feel like people expect me to react a certain way when they might need, if they're very upset and they act a certain way. But I never panic over things. I'm more of a fighter. I always immediately try to start thinking of a solution for something.
There's $200 million in the vault beneath the strip, with a 32-hour window to get it out. Find the safe. This should be a simple in and out.
Anna, I couldn't sleep last night. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. And I have to ask you, if I had those feelings after watching this film, what was it like for you to go back home after being, bathed in blood and insides and stuff like that?
Well, it was a lot of days. It was really hot. We were covered with dust, blood. I remember my hands were always dirty. Like I had dirty fingernail, nails for months. So I didn't even bother to clean them, because the next day they were gonna put all that again. So yeah, it was there were some days that it was very exhausting. I don't know, you guys.
Yeah, I think some days you've been acting so intensely all day that you come home and you're exhausted, and then other days, your adrenaline is through the roof, and you feel like you've had 15 coffees and you can't sleep. But it depends on the day.
It's not too late to go back.
What the?
What I loved about this film is how characters are not necessarily what they look like. They are different. You find out that they have different skills. Did you happen to find out something about each other that you were not expecting at all when you first saw each other? Matthias, now you start.
That's great. What a great question.
It's a good question. It's a great question. Thank you, Gaby. I have to say, I found out that Omari is a really cool guy, but he never had to prove that, because I knew it from the beginning. But what I found out was that he is the listener, and I love that it's not about his ego. When he's asking a question, he's gonna shuts up and is listening, and you can tell him a story, and that's always really cool. I love it.
That's so nice to say. What do you say, Omari? Now those things are high.
It's so humbling, at some point. At some point, you start to realize you've put in enough hours that you're obviously not going to step on the toes of a director, and you won't dare step on the toes of a legendary director such as Zack Snyder. But obviously, Matthias at times did say, oh, do you think I'm in the right pocket? Do you, and the director doesn't mind that. We're teammates. That's all we are. And I come from sports, and Matthias is very athletic. And so we know that world of like, and he's rough. So what I didn't know in the beginning with Matthias is I didn't know how rough he was.
They're not what you think they are. They're smarter. They're faster. They're organized.
There's a part where when he's recruiting all these people that he describes this mission as going back to something that in first place failed. It's a bad experience for all of them to go back there. And I'm curious, in your career and all the choices you've made throughout your career, is there a moment you would go back to if you had the chance, just for the catharsis of just trying to make it better, just to live it again and see it in a different perspective?
Oh, for sure. Every thing that I've ever done, I would go back and do differently.
Really?
Because and the thing is, especially with acting, when I watch myself on film, because so when you shoot a film, it takes a year or more for it to actually hit the screen. And by then, because I've always learned on the job. I've been an actor that's learned on the job. I didn't go to drama school, don't have a theatrical background. I've kind of learned from every project. I've learned from different directors and different actors. So if I've done a film a year ago and worked since then, I always feel like I come off every project a better actor. So by the time that film comes out, and I look back and I critique myself, and I wish I had done like so many things differently. Like I can hardly watch the first Guardians because I was very new to acting. I know the days where I started and where I was just terrified. I was so nervous. And it's hard. I cringe when I watch it.
There's always like a human reflection, something we get ourselves into. So what was that side you were trying to show in this film?
It's really great. My ideas, or my way of thinking about zombies is that zombies it's a monster movie where we're the monster, where the monster is us without our humanity, and so I thought that, and also the best zombie movies are sort of socially aware, are making a comment about whether it be Las Vegas or a wall being built, or whether it be, refugee camps or whatever the thing is, politics of a plague, things like that. You have to, and this was all before this pandemic. We shot the movie before we didn't know that it would have a relationship to our world. Those conversations, I think a good zombie movie is provocative in that way as well.
It's a goddamn zombie tiger. That's crossing the line.